Hey, this is Clint Oldenburg from EA Madden NFL, and you're watching Hollywood Sports. Hail to the Redskins.
From the gameplay team to give us all the details on the newest title update. The notes you can go read either on the forums and you can drop your feedback, or you can go read the blog and get all the details. But Clint, welcome to the stream.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. Always a pleasure.
I've got some questions about this title update. Number one, we had 2 title updates last week, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Was this the plan for the title update? Did you want to get it out earlier? What are your thoughts there?
Yes, so the 2 title updates that went out earlier, we actually had initially planned to have all 3 of these in the same title update. However, due to our great QA team, our testers, they found a stability issue in the gameplay portion of the title update. So we delayed that one 2 weeks to resolve that stability issue. And that's just a great example of how our processes are working. Even though we wanted to get this stuff out sooner, getting it out at that date would have made a negative impact on our users. So we held it up to this week.
Very good stuff there. I'm going to do one thing I should have done a long time ago. Enhance. I want to get, yes, enhance. Okay, much better, much better. Now, in this specific update, some big gameplay changes. That's your wheelhouse area. There's obviously, you can go read the blog, it's got franchise changes. It's got some other updates, visual updates. We saw the Jordan cleats go in last week.
We're pumped about that, right? I'm pumped.
People are hyped. People are definitely hyped about that. We're going to bring this microphone down as much as we can. Let's get to the gameplay, though. First ever post-launch update to playbooks. You've got improvements to CPU-controlled ball carrier logic, zone coverage improvements, pass blocking improvements. Let's start with playbooks. Let's explain a little bit about how that works, and we will break that down.
Yeah, so that's what I'm really most excited about with this title updates, the playbooks. It's something that we've been wanting to do as a dev team for quite some time, and we finally pulled it off. We can now actually go in and update playbooks post-launch. And when I say update, I mean we can add plays, we can change plays, we can add routes, we can add playbooks, so on and so forth. And this is just kind of scratching the surface of what we're doing here. I don't want to go too much into the details because you can read those in the patch notes. But what's important is in the past when we had to change playbooks, we would have had to go through code to do it, and we were very limited in our options when we needed to make changes to playbooks. So now we can actually use our playbook tool and get that out via the title update. So we're really excited about that. I think the highlight here is adding the split back formations to the West Coast and balance playbooks. And we also updated the alignment of the kickoff return formations that will help address what's known out in the community as the scum kick. So that is going to help along with another change we're going to talk about in a minute.
All right, let's keep diving through here. Good stuff on playbooks. I'm a huge playbook fan. I know Anthony White, who does the playbooks, that's a good tool for him to be able to go in and get those tweaks. As we dive through gameplay here, we've added split back formations. I like to say we've added as like I did anything. Added split back formations to the West Coast and balanced playbooks. Added functionality to allow slot receivers to motion out wide from single back tight slots. Alignment for kickoff return you talked about. Boom. Updated logic around coach cam play art to address cases where QB contain or blitz play art. Could line up pre-snap. Got some tuning, some catching, real player motion, pass coverage. Clint, dive in with that tuning.
Yeah, let's go into the tuning. So the 3 big beats here. Number 1, we removed the 10-second runoff penalty after a delay a game, which some people were using as an exploit online. They would take a delay a game to take time away from their opponent after kicking a field goal. So we took that logic out. Hopeful in the future that we can support the timeout part of the rule where the offense can elect to take a timeout to decline the 10-second runoff. Since we don't have that capability right now, we just removed that chunk, but note that you can still get a 10-second runoff after a false start and other penalties. It's just off for delay a game. One that we've heard a lot of feedback on from our community, the camera flip after interceptions. It was sometimes you would be caught running the wrong direction for a few steps before you could get control of the player. We did some work there to vastly improve that. That should be very, very rare, but if you happen to see that come up again, please let us know on the forums. But that should be much, much better. And then lastly, the second fix that I already alluded to earlier, we tuned the kickoff accuracy on the meter so that if you kick a wildly inaccurate kick, it's most likely going to go out of bounds or somewhere that you really don't intend it. And just to give some context there, which led to some of the scum kick, is the kick meter was tuned primarily for field goals because it's used across all special teams, punt, field goal, kickoff. And so we didn't, when we dialed it in initially for the field goals, we didn't want wildly inaccurate to go all the way to the sideline because there's more, what do you want to say, soft
Variance
misses or kickers typically in the NFL don't miss that wildly.
No.
However, that led to some scum kickoff exploits on kickoff.
I've seen
because
them.
It was tuned to that. So we just kind of went away from that. Now, if you are wildly inaccurate outside the accuracy window, that thing's going to go out of bounds.
Hey, I think people can rock that. I think people can go with that. Love to hear about the camera flip on interceptions. I get so many interceptions. No, I'm kidding. I really don't. But when I do, I need to capitalize on those because I have no offense. It's interesting to hear about the tuning idea behind all of that. Real player motion, Clint. Real player motion. We've got 4 changes that are noted here in the update notes. What would you call out to RPM?
Yeah, I have 3 big beats I want to cover. First, we addressed rare issue preventing the ball carrier from being ruled down correctly on some reach tackles. Now, I know that in the previous title update about a month ago, we had a line item for gang tackles, and we did resolve those where a gang tackle would occur, the ball carrier would fall down, but the whistle wouldn't blow, so he could get up and continue to run. We found a similar problem in reach tackles, and we've fixed that in this title update. So hopefully there's no more of those. That's the plan there, but we think we got a good handle on that. We also addressed an issue that players were using to exploit auto motion plays by clicking onto the auto motion receiver and aborting his auto motion. We figured that one out and got that done. And then CPU ball carrier logic, which you called out in the open. Basically, we've been tuning this and tuning it over the course of the year, and we got to a point where we said our CPU ball carriers just can't handle the one cut. So we greatly reduced the frequency that they're going to one cut. And the improvement that this makes when you're playing against the CPU is actually very noticeable. So I'm interested to get feedback from the community on the forums.
Yeah, as a reminder, guys, in the blog, there's a link to the forums, and then you can also just go to the forums. The notes are all there, and that's where we read your feedback on these updates. So we got a lot of good feedback on previous updates, and we kind of roll that feedback into the newer updates. So that's where Clint is talking about getting that feedback on CPU ball carrier with the one cuts. Got to get that feedback from you.
Yeah, and it makes them, it's almost night and day how much better they are now. They're extremely, extremely competitive running the ball, finding daylight, and making some smarter decisions when finding a hole to run through or finding open grass.
All right. We're going to keep rolling through here, Clint. Pass coverage.
Yes.
Some changes to pass coverage. Lots of new logic for specific coverages that are all in the blogs. But do you have a couple favorites? Do you have a couple of things that you've seen the community kind of utilizing or you've heard a lot about? What are the big changes to pass coverage?
I'd say by and large, cover 4 palms and cover 4 quarters is getting a pretty sizable improvement here with added coverage logic. Specifically around being more aggressive on routes to the flat, defending mesh routes, defending the very popular PA crosser play. Cover 4 palms will be more effective in covering streak routes. And let's see, also one change for cover 6 to more effectively cover post routes. So I think all of that really coalesces into a story around deep zone in those cover 6 and cover 4 coverages to help balance defense with those popular routes.
Those are definitely the popular routes, and having some of those tools in your toolbox can only help with crossers and posts to stop all of those. Anything else to add for coverage specifically? You want to jump into blocking, your real bread and butter?
I think the last thing, which probably is important to some, is we did find an issue on some streak routes. The defense would not be able to press that route, and we did fix that as well.
I like it. Last night, unfortunately, I think Tramon Williams he just fell down.
We don't have that
Tyreek Hill.
yet.
I have a question. I was watching that, and everyone's like, high scoring is great. I don't want my defenders to fall down. Please don't add that animation. Don't do that. That's my only thing. I was like, how did Tyreek Hill get that open? I'm like, that's how Tyreek Hill got that open.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fast.
Stuff happens, man.
Blocking, Clint, your bread and butter. let's just talk about it. Let's dive in. You start.
Yeah, so I think this is the one that most of the community is waiting for in terms of the blitzes, the blitz setups that you see when you play online. And really the big ones are the big nickel over G and the 3-3-5 odd. And I think the two primary changes that we want to talk about here is, number one, in terms of the 3-3-5 odd, what we did with contains. So if we want to back up a little bit, when contains were first implemented a couple years ago, the intent of that mechanic and of that feature was to allow the defense a counter to quarterback scrambling, specifically quarterback scrambles outside the pocket. So that's when we put in the mush rush, and that's the animation that a contained player will get when he's being blocked. And the intent behind that was, yeah, you're going to contain the quarterback, but you're not going to be an effective pass rusher. So you're going to stay in that animation until he scrambles, and then you can disengage and go make a play. However, with the 3-3-5 odd setups that we've been really studying for the last couple of months, what we found is players were putting contains either in the same gap as another outside rusher or finding a way to force them into an inside gap, which would essentially just make them another pass rusher. So we are now widening the rush angle of the contained player, and if he is not blocked by an offensive lineman, he's going to move to a contained position about 2 to 3 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, and it's going to be a wide alignment. And he's not going to rush anymore because his intent as a contained player is to contain the quarterback inside of the pocket. So if you see your contained player stop rushing once he crosses the line of scrimmage, that's because he's in contain and he's not being blocked by an offensive lineman, which goes towards the intent of that feature. That's the biggest change. And then the big nickel over G, while not exclusive to that formation, what we found is when our pass blocking logic would make what we call a 5-0 call. Essentially, when we're treating 5 guys on the line of scrimmage as our 5 primary targets, we make a check to go 5-0 instead of going to a secondary target on the second level. And we then make our offensive linemen use short sets to avoid getting beat underneath. And specifically, when there's 5 defenders inside both offensive tackles, we go to short sets. And that's why the big nickel over G and other formations we're getting these insta sheds. So they're no longer going to be using short sets in that situation, especially the tackles. So if you have a 4 technique, a 5 technique, or a 9 technique defensive end, the tackle's still going to set for the depth of the quarterback. So quick play like slants, he's still going to use the short set, obviously, because that's a 3-step. 5-step, he's going to use the angle set, what we call medium, and then on the 7-step or deeper, he's going to use the deep pass set, which is more of a vertical set, and he's going to stay true to those rules regardless of the front. So I think those are the 2 biggest changes with pass blocking.
I like it. Remember, we also have a Madden Ultimate Team, which now that I think back to last Thursday's stream where Jake had the 2 guys on his shirt instead of the 3, I think he was hinting that you can play Mutt Squads as a duo. That is in this title update. So check that. Franchise mode has a bunch of updates, which you can check the blog and let us know your feedback in the forums. We're also taking questions from the chat right now on Twitch. I know we've got some people monitoring that. If you guys have any specific questions, let us know. And then before we go, I want to ask a question about like tuning. So not necessarily a full patch of the game, which, as you kind of talked about earlier, it takes. You guys have these things planned out months in advance, and there's a cadence and a process. With the ability to tuning update the game, how much different is that? What could that be used for? And do you see any of those coming up potentially?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think there's 2 answers there. Number one, what's the difference between a title update and a tuner update? The most important thing to know there is a title update is something that we have to actually go in and change code. And when we change code, then we have to go through first party, Microsoft, Sony, so on and so forth to get approvals. And there's a long chain of approvals and a long chain of testing processes that we must go through to be able to launch a title update, which is what we launched today. A tuner update, however, is just data. Essentially, we have a system in Frostbite. We call it a tribulator. I'm not sure where the name came from, but that's essentially where all of our success chances live, win chances, how often a defender beats an offensive guy or how often a player catches a ball versus a knockout. That's data side only. It doesn't touch any code. And so we can put those out pretty much whenever we want. We just need to go make the tuning changes, get them tested, and then we can get those out to people as quickly as possible. So that's the main difference, and we are hoping to get a tuner update out within the next 10 days, probably after Thanksgiving, just because, you hate to put anything live out right before a holiday when you may not be able to get people in the building, so on and so forth. So I would expect a small tuning update coming next week, but we will keep you updated on that because those dates can and usually do change, as you saw with our title update today.
Yeah, definitely good communication there on the forums. You have EA_Kralo putting out those updates, those changes when they're smaller, etc. Remember, we had big changes to Team of the Week 11 due to the Monday Night Football crazy matchup. Super Bowl preview?
I think so, man. Those guys, both those teams are doing some crazy things on offense that the NFL defenses have not caught up to yet.
No, it's wild. It's
Yeah.
wild. So make sure to follow EA Sports_Mutt to find out. Those are going to go live in game later today, but also some of the changes to players and items we showed earlier, but you can always go back and find those. We're going to do a couple giveaways. Do we have any specific questions from the chat about title updates that you guys want to pick up on, or we can send those on Twitter if you guys saw anything specific?
Question was just general playbooks in general, future. What are we looking at?
Playbooks. So the question from my man Gibbs over here, what are we looking at for the future of playbooks? From my standpoint, from a creative standpoint, possibilities are limitless. We got to see what we can do and when we can do it. Obviously, those still need to be tested because they will be going out in the title update, so they need to be tested thoroughly to ensure quality. But hopefully we get to a point where we're updating playbooks every week, ideally, and that's probably a year or two in the future. But this is a kind of a capstone moment for playbooks in that we can now keep those as fresh all year long as the rest of the game to stay up to date with both what's going on in the NFL and what's going on in our game. So I think that that's probably where we aim to go in the future.
We got one piggybacking off of that one. Charlie Flame in the chat said, what about RPOs?
RPOs is a similar thing to playbooks. Something the dev team has really been wanting to implement for a couple of years, but it's such a large system because it touches every part of the game. It touches passing, it touches running, touches blocking, pass rush, pass coverage. It's going to take some time, and it's still something that we're planning on doing and want to do. I just can't tell you when we're going to be able to deliver that because it's such a game-changing feature.
All right. Thank you very much for the info. We went through Team of the Week. We went through the updates, the dates. We talked about tuning. We talked about the first ever launch update to playbooks. We talked about the CPU ball carrier logic. We talked about some blitzing changes and fixes. I know people are really going to dive in there. One thing we do have going on is qualifications in draft. It's called Mutt. No, it's called Mutt Draft officially. Yep. It's changed. Mutt Draft has gone live. The new season has changed over. So if you're looking to qualify for the upcoming Madden Major, the third major, you can start your qualification now. That started yesterday, but now with the title update, it's really going to kind of change things up. You're going to be doing Mutt Draft, so it's a completely different mode than we've seen before. We have obviously head-to-head for the Classic. We have salary cap for the Club Championship, but for the Challenge, it'll be Mutt Draft. So going to be pretty interesting. We'll see what evolves off of all this.
Yeah, looking forward to it. We got a lot of cool things coming up. Make sure that our community, I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Get out there with your family. Take some time off of social media. Whatever you got to do. Have a great Thanksgiving, and make sure to go hit up that forum when you get that deep dive into the title update. Let us know what you think, because Kralo is always looking at those things, and he's sending us, the dev team, the things that you guys want to see. So keep it up.
Question for you. Do you care if we give away all 3 Team of the Week boss/hero items from today? If we give away 3 different ones?
Can you approve it? Right?
Can you approve
Are
that?
you giving them to my account?
No. Somebody from the community, but you don't have a problem. You don't have a problem with it, right?
No, I don't have a problem
You're not
with
going to
it.
stop us.
No, I'm
You're
not
not going
gonna
to
stop
tell anybody, that's not here.
I would have had a bigger problem with it had the Redskins pulled a win out, and then I could have got some Redskins items, but since that's not the case, go
All
ahead.
right, well then let's do it.
Give it away.
We're going to roll that beautiful bean footage 3 times, and you will receive a T.Y. Hilton, who is nasty, Akeem Hicks, who's a left end, and then you have, remember, it's Robert Woods. It was going to be Doug Baldwin, but it is Robert Woods. Have not seen the item yet because it's still being crafted, but we're
Here
going
you
to
go.
give it away anyways.
BG7251.
BG7251, you just won those 3. BG7251, bean footage.
BG.
Nailed it.
There it is.
Yeah.
Falls, repeat those winners, those items.
Robert Woods, T.Y. Hilton, Akeem Hicks.
Cool.
Team of the week, 11. Big changes. Monday Night Football.
Huge game.
And, you know, we teased it a little bit earlier, but I would keep an eye out on EA Sports _ for more info around Team of the Week and special
All right, Falls,
moment
next
in
one's coming.
football. Next one's coming, and
Al Prozac.
Al Prozac.
All right.
Yeah.
Keeping it chill. He's just keeping it
He's
chill.
keeping it chill.
Al Prozac. Congratulations.
He gets a lot of sacks. 3 items, Robert Woods, T.Y. Hilton. Gibbs, put the T.Y. Hilton up on the cam if you can, because this T.Y. Hilton, I know Gibbs didn't like Devontae Adams last week or yesterday because he only has 3. So Devontae Adams had route running, short 90+, mid 90+, deep 90+. Do you think that's good?
Do I think it's good?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
That seems pretty good, right? S.
Yeah.
Gibbs did not care for it because he only understands speed. He's a one-trick pony. He doesn't really know anything about
you're not
ratings
giving all
and
the
full
context.
players.
I said that there is value in the fact that you can get his route running all the way up to 90s, especially with the chemistry abilities.
That's
right?
not what
So
you said before the stream
Right,
started.
that
didn't
doesn't
love
surprise
him.
me.
I didn't love him.
So I've played Gibbs before, and I want it to be known that I'm still undefeated
Oh.
in Madden against Gibbs.
Yeah.
Okay.
And based on his play style that he's shown me in
Oh.
the past, I
Cheese
can
guy.
understand why he wouldn't want.
What?
Full-time cheese guy.
This is the fake
Only loves
narrative.
speed, only throws drags.
Fake narrative.
Yeah.
Only loves speed, only throws drags.
All right.
So what's good for S. Gibbs is this T.Y. Hilton, not only does he have the speed at 93,
This is my
that's
kind
like
of
the
guy.
3rd fastest item in Ultimate Team behind Darryl Green and Deion Sanders. He also has the route running and ability across the middle. I think this is the new Tyreek Hill. Yeah. T.Y. Hilton, Tyreek Hill.
Huge game this week.
T.Y.
Probably
Hill.
won some fantasy football games for some folks out
Oh,
there.
yeah. Not
All
for
right,
me.
Charles, the next winner, Tonamentary 23.
Tonamentary, you win yourself a T.Y. Hilton, a Robert Woods, and an Akeem Hicks. I think Robert Woods is really good.
Robert Woods is very underrated.
He's like really underrated.
Yeah.
He's just proven it all day.
He's only had 2 games this year where he scored under 10 points for fantasy at receivers. At least in my league, he's a very
Hey, Matthew
consistent
Berry,
receiver.
let's move it over here.
Hey, what?
Let's move it over here. All right, that's all. Clint, since you're a special guest, do you want to give away a 4th one in the chat? Can
Yeah.
we do that?
I'll give away a 4th one. Let's give away a 4th one.
Yeah.
Approved, Clint?
Approved. Kralo, is it approved?
All right.
You know, why don't you throw in Patty Mahomes after last?
What?
Oh,
What?
Wait,
what?
what? Grungy Cav gets a Patty Mahomes and Team of the Week.
Grungy
Grungy
Kev.
Cav with the Kralo special, Patty Mahomes.
An extra special Patty Mahomes. He's currently at a 93.
Flying in just in time.
Right?
Wow, that's a good move.
Excellent, excellent.
My starting quarterback, right?
He's
He's the
nasty
hardest
with
guy.
chemistry.
St. Patty Mahomes.
S. Gibbs doesn't think he's good because he only has like 78 speed, but he has a lot of other ratings that are very good for quarterbacks.
All right,
know.
Charles.
It's pretty
It's
okay.
weird. S. Gibbs doesn't like legends either. He only likes
That's not true.
new players.
It's not true.
Like he doesn't think Kellen Winslow is better than Jordan Reed.
S. Gibbs,
Yeah.
do you like turkey on Thanksgiving?
I love turkey on Thanksgiving.
Just wanted to make
Oh,
sure.
it's fantastic.
All right.
Yeah. You?
Absolutely.
What's your favorite turkey? Or favorite side, anything, favorite dish?
I'm a mac and cheese guy
Yeah.
for Thanksgiving,
Okay.
but I like the deep fried turkey.
Ooh, are you deep frying a turkey this year?
No, I'm not. I'm not doing it.
Wow.
Are you gonna go to KFC and order one?
That's not a bad idea.
You can do that.
I'll
can
probably
do
be at
that.
work that
Can you really
morning,
do that?
so
Yeah?
yeah.
Why?
We got to stay up to date, man.
Now that's right. That's, you know.
What do you
so-
mean?
We got work to do. We always got work to do. We go home and get that afternoon.
When you say we, you mean the gameplay team, not like us.
No, I expect you guys to be here too, at least in the morning. We'll
We're
go
gonna-
get our workout done
I work
in the
in
morning.
a digital landscape,
We're gonna-
therefore what's
we have a
nice is I can
special-
work from multiple
we have a
locations around the
special
globe.
Daily drops. Well,
Oh yeah, we will
not the
stream.
way
Not
that, no,
special.
not
Yeah, yeah,
special,
yeah,
not
not
special,
special.
not
Say that,
special. But we
people
have
think
a road daily drops that we're going to be doing over the Thanksgiving break. It's
Oh,
gonna be pretty
nice.
Cool.
That'll be great.
Yeah.
S. Gibbs loves cranberry from a can.
Cranberry sauce from a can is dynamic.
Right from the can.
Dynamic.
I think cranberry sauce is the Robert Woods of Thanksgiving. If we go
Consistent.
full circle here.
Yeah, it's consistent.
No,
It
Robert
shows
Woods
up.
is stuffing.
No, that's like the.
All right, I have to get out of here now.
All right.
Hey, thank you
We gotta
guys.
go host somebody.
I like your shirt.
Actually, remember this giveaway? We didn't pick a winner.
Yeah, we did. Grungy Kev.